Hi, good morning. In an earlier video you may recall I fitted some LED lights to light the back of my Defender 90 up. Well, bad news is they failed. So it's a little bit dark in the back here. So the plan is find out what's going on and put a remedy into place. This is the additional fuse box I fitted. It feeds power to the rear of the vehicle for reversing lamp, cigarette lighter feed, USB feed, and also the interior lights. And what's failed, the reversing lights and the interior light, and both of them are common through the orange fuse there. So if we pop that fuse out, we got 12 volts on one side, which I'd expect, and obviously there's nothing on the other side. That's the live feed. We go over to ohms and we'll see what kind of short we got going on. We got just under 2 ohms, so we've virtually got a dead short to ground on the positive side of the supply. We'll go to the back of the vehicle because I'm suspecting the LED strips have shorted out once more to the chassis of the vehicle. That's happened before, but on the positive side. Forgive me, that happened before on the negative side, and the lights would come on at random, a bit spooky at night kind of thing. So I'm going to go to the back, we'll have a look what's going on there and see if we can actually find out where I think the positive side of the LED strips are shorted down the chassis, and hence the fuse is blowing this time. So let's take a look. This is the rear of the cab where all the cables come together that feeds the rear reversing lights, LED lights you haven't seen yet, and also the 2 pairs of light strips, LED strips. This is what I'm talking about, these LED strips that run the full length of the cab on both sides. There's 2 strips on either side. Now in the past I've had the ground side shorting down the chassis, which would put the lights on their own during the night usually, so it was always a bit weird what was going on out here. The reason they'll come on when you short it to chassis, because that's how the wiring is. You permanently got a 12 volt supply on the LED strips, so and when you open the rear door it grounds the LED, so it completes the circuit. So we've always got 12 volts here, so that's what makes me think that's where the problem is. I think it's unlikely it's a new LED the new LED reversing lamps I've got on there, because we've already had a problem with these in the past. My suspicion lies with these, so I'll go get a pair of wire cutters and see if we can isolate it to make sure it is those light strips, and see if we can isolate it further from left to right of the cab. So I'll go and get those snips and we'll see how we get on. Okay, right, tin snips in hand, but just before I make the cut I'm going to make sure we've still got a short here to ground. The meter's off shot, but we're measuring 1 ohm to ground on the 12 volt supply, so that is very wrong. So it's 50-50 chance which side the problem's on. I'm going to isolate the 12 volts here. Right, that's one side of the cab totally isolated with respect to the LED strips. Now let's measure, see what we got down to earth again, and we've got 32 mega ohms. So my assumption was right, it is these strips. I know what side it's on now, but there's 2 of these strips back to back, so I've got, let's have a look, 6 foot of strip to look at. All I'm going to do now is, it looks as if they've already started peeling them up off the chassis, and see if we can see a little short going on. So that's what I'm going to do now, a little bit of unsticking. Right, let's peel these strips up and see if there's anything obvious. Forgive me if I get in shot. I'm just inspecting as we're going along here. Those Chinese do solder these together at various lengths. I think it's about 3 foot length, and they solder the strips together, and that's where more likely the problems occurred. There's lots of little bits of metal along here. It's probably me. That's something a little bit iffy going on there. Let me just buzz that out again, and we'll have a closer look if that's the case. So here we go. What we got measuring now? No, it looks as if we've still got the short there. Yeah, so got to keep going along there. Bear with me. This is what I'm looking for. On the bottom of this strips, you have got a copper connector, but I've used double-sided sticky tape, 2 layers in fact, to stick it down to the bed of the cab, which is already painted, so it kind of should have been a fairly good insulator. Bearing in mind you got paint, double-sided sticky tape, and only 12 volts. It's not as if we're really high voltage mains on this, it's just a 12 volt truck voltage. But we'll keep peeling this back just until we maybe see something a bit suspicious. Now that's a bit how you doing, but all okay so far. That connects up to a second strip that makes its way back to the other end of the cab. So I've got a couple of connectors there, so I'll just pull those off like so, and we'll have a little buzz out of what's left and see if we've got short again, in which case it's on that last bit of the strip. So see if I can do this with one hand. I'm afraid the meter is still off shot for you, but what we got? Well, we've got 20 ohms. That's a big difference. Just wondering if that's enough. We're still feeding through the truck, going through the earth, so that could well be measuring through the diodes. I'll put the fuse in and we'll power it back up just to see if one side comes up, which it should do, and see if we fix the problem with well, eliminated part of the LED strip. So let's put a fuse in and see if we get any more lights to come on. Okay, I've made that cable good where I've had to cut it to isolate it, put a little bit of heat shrink around it, and as you can see the lights are obviously working. I did find an area of this strip that was, I think, defective. It's the positive is a little bit how you doing. I reckon that's got shorted down the deck. Let me just find it now. I'll show you. Okay, what I found, I'll tell you now. With these LED strips, every 2 inches or so, you can cut them. So you can customize the length of the strip that you need. And that's where the little copper dots are. You cut off the insulation off the top. It's a clear silicone. Tidy the joints up, wire it in, and away you go. If you turn it over, you've got corresponding copper pads on there, on that surface. Now that's what I found's actually shorting out the chassis. If I get the meter, put the meter on there, you can see in a second, you'll see it, you know, it's intermittent, but there's enough there to deck it, and if it's put it down to ground, that's where the problem's occurring. Now the other joints, it should all be covered with double-sided sticky tape, and you've also got the insulation from the truck itself on via the paintwork. See, all good there. There's a little bit of edge copper exposed, but that doesn't seem to be causing a problem. Another terminal, no flicker. You just saw it flash there because I'm decking one side out. Yeah, though, something definitely going on there. I say it does play up. It is intermittent. But I think that was the problem. I'll put it this way: I'm going to reinstall it, and we'll have a look, like with the, see what we got going on. And I reckon that's probably a fix. Okay, while you're away and making a cup of tea, I expect, I've refitted that to the top of the cab. It is just down in a recess here, which makes it quite nice so you don't see it apart from when it's lit up. And thankfully it's now lit up. So that's all tucked away. What I did, 2 layers of thick double-sided sticky tape down the back side of the lamp strip, and hopefully that's going to be good enough insulation wise. It has been in the past and hopefully will be in the future. So yeah, lights on, lights off, lights on. You get good reflection from the ceiling, and it lights the back of the truck up quite well. Right, that's the lights up and running again. Fairly happy with the quick fix on that. Double-sided sticky tape should do the business. If not, then I'm going to pull them out both sides, the lights, and do them again. The worst thing that's going to happen is going to blow the 5-amp fuse, so I'm going to lose the interior lights and the add-on reversing lights I put on. I did mention the reversing lights a little bit earlier in the video, and that is them. There's one there and one just over the top of the door there. They'll come on when I hit the reverse gear, because Land Rovers traditionally have very poor lights on the back for a reverse. It has got one single light that seems to just about work, but just inside the back here, just threw a few switches together, and one of those operate the reversing light. So if I'm working out the back of the truck at night, I can flick the switch on and the reversing stroke floodlights at the back come on, so I can see what's going on. So we'll flick that switch, and obviously we're in the daylight, but trust me, those 2 lights at the back really do light up wickedly, and that's what you want, well, at night anyhow. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to subscribe, give us a thumbs up. If you've got any comments, then feel free to leave those as well.